Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
And this is Matt.
And this is a question for Matt. Matt, do you feel the need? The need for speed.
You know that I always feel the need for speed, Chris, because I have a crippling meth addiction.
It wasn't quite the direction I thought we were going to go in, but
Oh,
I was referring to
no.
the title in the game being terminal velocity and being all
Yeah,
about
what a
speed.
great title for a great game. Just like it's perfect. And do you know who made Terminal Velocity? Who developed it?
Who?
Their name? It's what is it? I just looked it up.
Mark Randall?
Terminal Reality.
Terminal reality, yes.
Everything's terminal.
Everything's
It's all
terminal.
terminal.
So what, when you think about it, like what a horrible name for a company.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful.
Don't,
But
don't
it sounds cool.
It sounds cool, but
It's provocative.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. This is 3D Realms, man.
Back when 3D Realms was at their just height.
I have so many 3D Realms memories. I really
3D
this is
Realms
like
and
the era
Apogee.
when I What's that?
3D Realms and Apogee, like right
Yeah.
in the 90s. Just
Right. I associate Apogee with my younger years because of Commander Keen, and then it just switched over to 3D Realms, and that's it was like my bar mitzvah. Like after it became 3D Realms, and I saw the strippers in Duke Nukem, it was like
you became a man.
I became a man.
Duke Nukem made you a man,
kind of
kind of,
in a roundabout way.
roundabout way.
So is this a review of Terminal Velocity we're about to do, Chris?
Oh my God, no! We would never do a review of a video game here. That and
No,
way too much pressure.
not
But
what
we
we
have
do.
played it for a few days and played it in a special way. We'll get to later.
Yes.
But yeah, we pick a game every month. We actually pick two games every month. One that we really play all month, and then a short game like Terminal Velocity, where we play for a few days. It's not going to need us to do a deep dive or really explore its intricacies and its nuance because it's fly around a planet and shoot shit.
Yeah, the hallmark of the short games seems to be like a lack of changing gameplay elements.
Right.
So we've played short games that kind of walk that line because they're really short, but they do a lot of different things. Terminal Velocity doesn't really do a lot of different things.
No.
But it is wonderful. I absolutely love Terminal Velocity.
I actually wanted to make a special point about that too, that this is a game boiled down to being a game. It doesn't shy away from being a really just here are a few game mechanics. We're going to do them well, and you're going to have fun using them in our world.
Yep.
And I love when you can get a game that does that. But also keep in mind that at the time this came out, this was more of a budget game. This was on the shareware model. You could get a version of it that had like the first couple levels, multiplayer built in, and it was free. And then if you wanted more, you'd buy more.
Yeah, and it's totally worth playing. Like we played this together back in the day, over a no modem cable, I believe.
Yes.
And we've come back to it. You went back and played it prior to this, didn't you?
Yes. I played it about a year ago.
Yeah.
Just because somebody mentioned it on Twitter, and I was like, man, I haven't played that in forever. And
Yep.
it's like, yep, it's exactly what I thought it was, but I wish I missed the multiplayer part of it. I wish I had that.
Yep.
And so here we are. But we're going to talk about the single player part of this first.
Yeah. So it's got it's got an introduction, and it's okay. The introduction's fine. You don't have to watch it,
No.
and then it kind of dumps you into some mission briefing stuff, which I thought was good because,
Right.
like we said, there's not a ton of gameplay elements, but they do a good job kind of setting you up for the mission. What's interesting about the levels? What the
Yeah.
bad guys are going to be flying around in or shooting you with.
In fact, I'm going to pause here on the second. When we talk about there's not a lot going on, this is the change your key screen. This is it.
Which was frustrating to me because there's keys that are not on here.
Also true. But not many. But like
not many, but there's some.
Some.
And I don't like that because I like to see the remapping screen as a reference, not only just like a functional.
Yes.
Here's what I want to, the buttons I want to push. You know.
Yeah, give me all of them or give me none of them. But here we have.
This shows you everything.
Yes. This is the rest. But even this, like, you're not doing change view very often. You know, some of this is settings. Like, C to turn your cockpit on and off. Don't know why you would do that. It's not an obtrusive cockpit. Crosshair on or off. Yeah. Again, don't know why you would do that.
You want that crosshair.
You want that crosshair. Resize game window for back when that is how you didn't have DOSBox throttling, so you had to just
right. You got to manage your frame rate by playing in a postage stamp like that big.
Oh man,
I remember those days.
Yeah,
it sucked. It was not fun.
No. And the arrow key that says Steer Fighter, every time I read Street Fighter, I'm like, arrow keys are Street Fighter. What?
Fun.
This game is deeper than I thought, but no, it's just Steer Fighter.
It has nothing to do with Street Fighter.
No, spacebar to jump. Spare to fire. I'm just going through here like I wanted to kind of show all the different things. This is
good stuff.
Ordering info. It's still. I bought this on GOG. It still has the ordering info in it. I love it.
You know that brings me to another point that I want to address for two reasons. I have this on Steam. And I started it on Steam, and I was not able to use my controller at all, and I really wanted to when we started. And for other reasons we'll get to, I eventually switched to the Good Old Games version, and you said that you were able to use your controller in the Good Old Games version. I didn't get a chance to try it, but that is... The short version of this segment is buy it on Good Old Games, don't buy it on Steam.
Good Old Games really caters towards, or at least used to, like making DOSBox work better with the games you're getting. For that retro audience. I don't think they do as much anymore, but it's still there. Steam doesn't care. Steam absolutely does not care. GOG caters a little bit. They curates their stuff a little bit. Where GOG, you just throw stuff up. Or Steam, you just throw stuff up. So, yeah. If you're going to buy it and you don't have a problem with Good Old Games, that's our recommendation.
Yep. Yeah, so you're almost into the game. Like you could be into this game in like 5 seconds if you really wanted to. It's good that you like showed all the menus in the intro and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I want to start getting in that habit.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know what this intro reminds me of? Stellar
TIE Fighter?
7.
Oh, Stellar 7.
Not
it reminded
TIE
me of TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
It's because it says enter your name, pilot. It doesn't say that, but
No.
that's the prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like Stellar
But yeah,
7.
it does a little sort of intro onto what planet you're going on, and then it breaks down what enemies you're going to see on that planet. And like, here's this, and then it spins around in that 3D. Like, look, we can do 3D.
Yeah, look at all 8 polygons on these spaceships.
And I have stuff on like hyper level quality. Like it defaults you to low quality stuff.
Right.
But yeah, you want to jack it all the way up.
So like, let's talk about the graphics because it's the 90s. They're real pixelated, pretty low poly, but
I don't have a problem with low poly spaceship games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
right. It doesn't matter.
How many triangles do you need to make a rocket? It's a tube with a jet at one end.
Right.
And it doesn't move. Like, it doesn't flap. It doesn't, swing its arms around. It's just a solid brick of something with some other triangles sticking out of it. You can do a lot, even in the 90s, with spaceship games, which is, I think, why there was a lot of spaceship games from the 90s, because it was so easy to just build this and have it look good.
Yeah.
That said,
yeah,
they did a lot of, like, just texture paint to suggest that, oh, there's more base here, without building a base.
Yeah. I mean, of the graphical issues in this game, to me, the worst is the draw distance.
Yes.
The draw distance is, like, obscenely short. And it does... The thing that drove me crazy about the draw distance is not so much that it's shitty and close, it's that it draws the shadow of the ships that you're fighting before it draws the ships. And that's very confusing.
Oh my god! I'm glad you brought that up.
It drove me nuts.
Hunting shadows. Just,
yep.
And I'm not doing it here. I'll do it later. Right now, the radar is in my upper right corner. It took me a while to remember, like, oh yeah, this is a pretty huge world you're put in. It's got sector like 16 over 11 right now, but I think we've found last night, like, it was 255 by 255 are the sector sizes.
I think so, yeah.
Like, it's in the 200s. You have room to move around.
Yeah,
and your radar's not going to show you everything.
Right. And the radar is largely useless when it's in the upper right corner because it's really hard to get a sense of where the enemy ships are because the scale is so small. Like, I gave up on using the radar for it. When it points straight up, you're going toward your next objective.
Right.
And that's what I use the radar for, not for, like, I got to hunt down the ship that I'm dogfighting. It's useless in that capacity.
Worse, like, so it's a tiny radar, and they put your marker takes up like half of it. Like, so it's covering the dots. So you're like,
right.
Is it above me? Is it under me? Is it? But it's actually a ways off. The just ship representation is huge in that window.
Yeah. Yeah, that drove me a little bit crazy. But like you were going to say, I think if you hit tab, it overlays it onto your
So yeah,
HUD.
Tab overlays the radar over the screen, and we'll see that later. Here's the problem with that. Because it overlays it on the HUD, it's very easy to just let your brain get confused and think that above your crosshair means it's above you. And it's not above you. It's in front of you and behind you. And when you're in a tense dogfight and you're making little mistakes like that, that can be everything. It also, some of the dots are gray. So sometimes I'm hunting shadows. Sometimes I'm hunting a ship. Sometimes I'm hunting a dot on my radar.
Yeah.
Mother...
I didn't know about the radar overlay when I was playing, so I just used it for navigation and wrote off pretty much the rest of it. Like, I just explored to find the warehouses that you can blow up and then the power-ups pop out of. So I didn't use radar to its fullest extent.
Yeah.
And you can totally get away with it.
And that again is, we're above the clouds here, which I think is also a really cool like feature. You can go high and get away from the ground and just fight above the clouds with nothing and no chance of running into anything. But then you can't hit your objectives either. What was I going to say? Radar. I kind of wish we had more time, and I mean, we always have more time if we want to take it. But the different ways we've handled radar and the different things we've done show there's some different levels on how to play this game. Like, you can just go to your objectives. You can scorch earth and try and get everything for, points. Because it does give you a little count at the end. How many bases did you blow up? How many aircraft did you shoot? How many trees did you shoot? And the trees explode, by the way.
Of course they do.
It's got that 90s action movie... Everything explodes if you can shoot.
The Michael Bay school of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think You mentioned that you can go above the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great example of why this game is successful because it has so many little elements to it like that that makes it continually like
Interesting.
dynamic. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you can strategize and like the I like the weapon system a lot because the weapons behave differently.
Yes.
Uh, and like there's drop to the lasers, which we're not
Right.
scientists, but it's good. Like it works because otherwise, if your laser shot straight and you couldn't go above the clouds, this game gets a lot more boring
Really fast.
really fast. But those very simple things make it a great game.
But they also, so what's weird about it is they make it a great game. They add these little bits of interesting, um, but there's nothing fundamentally changing the mechanics or the gameplay. You're not like, oh, I'm above the clouds now. I got to completely rework how I play the game. No, you still play the game the same way. It just changed it a little bit. The
Yeah,
lasers drop. Okay, you gotta actually aim your shot a little differently. It's no big deal. It's not like huge drop. It's not it's
right.
not
Or
PUBG
if
where you're like, okay, the wind's blowing and he's 3,000 meters out and I got to aim this far up and
adjust for the rotation of the Earth.
yeah, no, just
Yeah.
there's a little bit of drop to the lasers, so aim above.
Or if you have the ion cannon, it just sprays out at random.
You might hit
It's
him with
like
everything. You might hit him with nothing. If you hit him with anything, it's gonna hurt him.
yeah. The effective range on that thing is measured in millimeters.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too, like the main bulk enemies, just the ships flying around. You don't need anything better than the infinite ammo gun you get to start with.
Right.
The bases you'll want to switch to different weapons. Like there, I was using.
The
I don't remember what
RTL.
it's called.
RTL, right?
The purple gun. I call it the
RTL.
purple gun. Yeah.
The RTL. But that's another great little thing. Like if you get one RTL, it's infinite purple ammo. And if you get like a second or third, it changes it and then it limits your ammo. Like this is really a thoughtfully designed game for as simple as it is mechanically.
Yeah. And you want
And
to
it
upgrade those weapons. You want to get them to better levels to do more damage and more, like being able to fire 4 RTLs. It's harder to miss with that.
yeah. Yeah.
I want to talk about the AI in this game because we talked about the AI in Deus Ex.
Oh
Just
god.
how shitty it was. So now I was really paying attention to it for terminal velocity. I'm impressed.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. They hunt, they come around, they work as a team, they will form into formations to follow you. They do come at you, but they don't just come right at you. Some will come in low, some will come in high.
Anytime you play one of these spaceship games, be it a terrestrial game like this or like TIE Fighter, you always are going to get into jousting matches with the enemy ships. But it's what happens kind of between those jousting matches that makes or breaks how good the experience is. And I think Terminal Velocity does a good job because you're not just wheeling around. Like you have to. Sometimes you're being chased. Sometimes you're chasing.
And
It's good.
yeah, and while there's a lot of jousting matches, it doesn't mean there's no dogfights where you can get in behind them and really hunt them down and take them out.
Right.
Like that can be something that actually happens, and you can do it with skill and timing and changing your speed and stuff, and it's fun. Here's the overlay.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there. You don't really appreciate that when you're on the short range radar. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it gives you a good sense of an afterburner.
Afterburner is a treat.
Yep, it is. Did you see that? I tipped the tree and the whole thing exploded.
It's fine. just like real life.
Yeah, it's real life.
Chris,
This
I
is
gotta
where
be
Christmas
honest with
trees
you.
go. This is where Christmas trees go to die. They've been sitting in your living room for 45 days after Christmas, and they all get sent here, and just somebody shoots them and they go
You
up.
brush by them and they explode. It's confession time. So I didn't read the manual to this thing because you don't need to.
Either.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I
It's all on
forgot
that
about
one
it.
help screen. But I don't know what the power core does in terminal velocity. I know that I want them because they float in the air after I kill guys.
That's got to be something good, right?
Yeah. And it sounds cool, but I don't know what they do to you.
Yeah, I didn't read it either. And I didn't read it back in the day. This is a game that I just sort of sat down and picked up and started playing. And that's fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
like the game is simple enough that you are going to just sit down and know what to do. You might
Right.
have to be like, what does that key do? Like, how do I shoot? But once you figured out how to shoot, steer, and roll, the game doesn't need a story. It doesn't need, it doesn't need a motivation to be fun. These guys are coming to kill you, and blowing up these things makes them go away. Fantastic. That's all I need to know. Oh, there's tanks. Like
Right. Except with the obvious exception of the power core, which nobody in the history of
terminal velocity.
mankind...
Someone's in the comments gonna be like, actually, the power core.
No, no one knows.
No one knows.
I don't think it does anything. Maybe it increases your speed a little bit. I don't know.
I would hope so, because one of my complaints about terminal velocity, I remember the game from the 90s being insanely fast, being one of the fastest games I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing it today, and I'm like, it's okay. It's smooth.
Not that fast.
It's moving. Afterburner's kind of fast, but only once you get Afterburner, and that's a power-up. And that's in limited supply. But
Right.
it's not terminal. My velocity is not terminal. It's
You know why I think we thought it was so fast?
there's nothing like it.
I think it's... When did Descent come out? Did this come out after Descent? Because
Yes.
Descent was so fucking slow. I do not like that game. I'm supposed to like it. I didn't like playing it when I was a young person. I'm
Descent
probably not
came
going to
out in
like...
94.
Okay.
Descent's on
It
our
is-
list, buddy. It's coming.
I know, we're going to play it. And I'm interested to see if I still dislike it. But Descent, like, this makes... I mean, Descent makes this look like, light speed stuff. Because Descent is ponderous and, like, farting around these 3D mazes. Like, thank God you don't have to do that so much in this game.
Right.
Because that drove me nuts. Like, oh, you
Whoa,
just...
whoa,
whoa,
I
hey,
didn't
come
know that.
on! What is that?
I didn't know that was going to be over there.
I've
didn't know that
never
was gonna
been
be over there.
disrespected like this.
Oh my God. What a horrible person. Well, you were talking too long. I needed to shut your ass up.
You're like, oh God, he's on Descent. Like,
This is my show.
turn his volume down and put the thing over his face.
No, okay, Descent is slow, is ponderous. You hated it. You're looking forward to trying it again when we get there. Well, I wouldn't say looking forward to it, but
Yeah, I'm interested in playing it
Interested.
again.
this
But
took me
this
a moment
is-
too. Like, why can't I go in my tunnel? There's a tunnel
Right.
here. I want to go in my tunnel. Because you have to go in from one direction.
Is that why I thought you had to shoot certain mission objectives before you could go in the tunnel?
Maybe.
God, if only there was a manual we could read.
I thought it was going from one direction because every time I've gone into the tunnel, it's always been the same tunnel.
Yeah, that could be right.
One of the things I like about the tunnels, first off, the tunnels are another case of you got above the sky where there's no terrain, nothing to worry about. You can just fly around and shoot enemy ships, kind of TIE fighter style. There's nothing you're going to crash into. You got this where there's terrain and there's tanks and there's a lot going on this layer, but it's still relatively open. And then you got tunnels that's all terrain. It's just you're in a tight, hole barely bigger than your fighter. Walls are opening and closing, doors are opening and closing, and there's occasionally a ship in there shooting back at you, which I want to say feels silly and should have been turrets.
It does feel silly. And you know what I find particularly offensive about the ships in the tunnels?
They had tanks and could have done those.
No, it's that I saw one of the ships clip through one of the obstacles in the tunnel. That is beyond the pale. Like
Yeah.
I can't tolerate
Not
that
for
because
1995. Oh my God, what was this? 1985?
yeah.
I actually
Well,
saw a
it's
door
just
destroy a ship, which cracked my ass up.
oh really? So
Yeah.
they can, huh?
Yeah, they can be destroyed, but they
Oh,
do
that
also
makes me
clip
feel
through
better.
stuff sometimes because they've got a horrible hitbox.
Like I don't mind from a technical standpoint, but as someone who crashes into a lot of the shit in the tunnels, I found it very unfair because it made me feel bad about my abilities as a gamer.
Turrets and tanks would have taken care of that. Put them in
It
there, it
would
would
have
have made
been
a
way
lot more
better.
sense. Wouldn't have
Yep.
had to deal with weird hitbox issues. And it's
Yeah.
not something they would have had to change fundamentally from the game. It could have just
Right. They've got the sprites. Just stick them in the tunnels.
right.
But yeah, again, like it adds another layer of depth, and sometimes they're optional. So when you find one, it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're not optional,
Right.
and it's a cool feeling when you're like, oh, I found the tunnel. I flew through the tunnel.
Right. And there's
That's all
usually
you,
like some big power up at the end or a chain of power ups at the end or depends on the level. Each level has at least one tunnel, and that is one of the things where it'll say how many tunnels have you flown through. You don't have to fly through them to finish the levels, unless it's
yeah,
a level objective. But usually it's not. It's
yeah.
and yeah, I mean the single player game is serviceable. You'd play this, you'd have a good time. I wouldn't have regretted spending $30 on this back in 1995 and
Not at
never
all.
having played it multiplayer. I would have been like, that was worth my money. It's that
And
middle of the road game.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing we're not showing like level all the levels feel really different, and the one that impressed me the most was I think the third level where you're on this like kind of moon base thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's big kind of like towers with turrets on
Yeah.
top, but then missiles start like shooting up, and it feels very atmospheric, and it's kind of exciting. Like
Mm-hmm.
the game
Oh, here we go.
feels fresh. Oh, it's tunnel time. That awkward load sometimes when you go through the tunnel, they like reset you, so you're
Yeah. I was going to say, I am actually, like, it is a noticeable load, while at the same time, I'm impressed with the technical part of it for 1995. Because you do not
definitely
stop loading tunnel
right.
again, you just
Right.
go into the tunnel.
Another thing they nailed too is the amount of damage you take from crashing into the ground or these obstacles. It doesn't just like you're not just like ruined if it happens to
No,
you,
but you
but
don't
you
want to.
you feel it. Like you feel that you don't want to do it, and it bounces you around a little bit. So you have these moments where it's like feels really great. You're like you know, you're like Han Solo
Mm-hmm.
flying through the thing, and then you like brush something, and all of a sudden you're playing ping pong off the walls, pinball, I guess, not
Okay, I'm
ping
going to
pong.
pause here. I was playing, I think the night before. These are all human shapes on the walls.
Yes, yeah, that matrix texture.
Yeah, these are all silhouettes of people. I I kind of hope there's a lore behind that. Might be in the manual. We'll never know because no one knows where the manual is.
Yep.
It's definitely not in the folder that comes with the game that I saw the other day.
Yeah. No, no.
No, the manual's gone. Lost to time.
Lost to time. Got to preserve these old games.
Oh my god. Okay, so that's the tunnel. Power ups are little glowy balls. I don't know why, but they are. Who cares? It's fun.
I like that the power ups all look different. Like you
Yeah.
can tell if it's going to be a shield or
Weapon.
whatever.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, you're not guessing at it, which I think a lot of other games might have just phoned that one in and had a power up, or even a power up with the word above it, like "one up," or you know what I mean, like.
Right. Yeah. Very good.
And this is one of the first games after that transition from arcade games. Like I think Wolfenstein still had how many guys you had. Where this game, you play, and if you die, you're done.
Yep. You can start over, I think, at the beginning of the level.
Yeah, I think so.
But that gets, on some of the longer levels, that gets to be somewhat painful. And you can save, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a save system.
Yeah.
There's boss fights at the end of every planet, which is very cool. I actually had a hard time with the first boss. Like, it took me a bunch of tries, which I found impressive, because it's usually the first boss is kind of like, this is how the boss fights are going to be. But
you should know by the time you get to the boss.
What's that?
Said you should know how to fight this thing by the time you get to the boss.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's one of my complaints about this first level, though. There's a lot of trees and grass for an ice planet.
Fair.
It says in the lore, like, this is an ice planet, and shows this white ball, and then I get down, and there's just green. And I'm like,
and it's lovely.
Like, see?
It's like Alaska. Yeah. Right.
I was very confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
So that's our single player.
Let's get to the good stuff, though.
Let's get to the good stuff here. Hang on just a second. I'm going to fade this out for a second.
Nice fade out.
Thank you.
You set this up ahead of time, didn't you?
A little bit. I'm working on becoming more professional.
Oh.
We managed to get multiplayer working, and when I say we managed, it just fucking worked.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. It just
is awesome.
Worked. We're playing MechWarrior 5 as our free time, just us game to play together. That thing crashes at least one time every time we play it. This
at least
we had to look up how to configure one of the files because we are doing a DOS game from 1995. But if you get it from Good Old Games, there is a file that's TV _config_ client. Open that up.
Server.
Yeah. Enter the IP of the person you want to connect with. Change the shortcut to make sure it points to that, and run your game, and your network playing against someone.
Yes, and this is the other reason to buy the Good Old Games version, because the Steam version does not have that pre-configured for you. And I think it was 10:30. I had worked late, and once we realized the differences, I just bought the Good Old Games version, and let me tell you, it made it really easy. And it's so much fun to play this fucking thing multiplayer.
We get nothing from Good Old Games. This is not a sponsorship. This is just our experience. If we thought the Steam version was better, we'd tell you to get that. If we thought hacking it was better, we would tell you, don't ever do that. That's wrong. But if you did, that's probably the best way to play it. I think buying this on Good Old Games is probably your best way to play it.
Yeah.
Today. I mean, your best way to play it is to find a disc on eBay and an old 486. But short of that...
Right. And then get the world's longest no modem cable if you want to play with your friend.
Right. Because at this point, you and your friend probably live very far apart.
Yeah.
I know very few people who've stayed near their friends from the 90s. So this is Matt and I.
Yeah, we're multi-playing. Yep.
You're going to see it start out pretty even, and then Matt's going to start kicking my ass pretty solidly.
And I appreciate you saying that, because you are usually so much better at every video game that we play than I am, because I'm so impatient, and my under any amount of stress, my brain disconnects from my hands. It's just not great. But I won the shit out of Terminal Velocity, and I have felt good about that for several days. So, thank you.
I felt I was starting to get back into it at the end, but still not enough to be better. I was sort of not sliding anymore. That was it. That's as good as I can say I got. We will play this again, you and me.
Oh yeah,
Revenge is coming.
Definitely. It was so much fun, and this is where those gameplay elements we talked about really come into their own, because when you're playing against another person, and you can use above the clouds, you can camp around the shield generators, like you can use strategies and like try to lure him in, and you can see, oh, he's going for the shield generator, I better jam on my afterburner and get there before he gets it. Like it's great as a multiplayer experience.
Or figuring out you need to ram into the ground 3 times to have enough damage to steal the shield generator from someone else.
Yeah, I'm not proud of that, but it is true.
Like, well, I tried, but I only did it once. I didn't think I'll just keep going. Like,
oh yeah. And I mean, I ram into the ground a lot in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a great experience, and you know, if you don't have any friends, get one and make them buy Terminal Velocity on Good Old Games and
buy it for
play it.
Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, it was like $6. Like, it's really fun.
This is just such a pure. Like, if they said back in the day, we're selling a multiplayer only game, and this was the game, and maybe not 30, maybe $20, I'd have said, that's worth our money. The single player game, like I said, if all I got was the single player game and I spent $30, worth my money. You got both, and you got both as a free shareware, right? And then could buy more if you wanted it. I don't know. Like, for those of you who like it when we rag on games, I can't. I have, even today, it worked out of the box. The HUD is not obtrusive. The radar could use work. The world is huge, which is part of the problem, but also the world is huge. Each time you land on one of these planets, there's plenty to explore and go around.
Yeah. One of the things about the huge world, though, I noticed last night while we were playing this, it gets really sparse outside of a certain area. There's like no more power-ups. It's just land. But it's fine. Like, if you need to run away and hide and loop around and come at, come at it in a different way, you can do it.
There were a couple really times we got lost. Like, I couldn't figure out where you were, and I had to kind of hunt my way back. That's okay. That's, it's on me to maybe make a note of, like, where I see. Like, I should have done that. Like, you're like, I know where the shield generator is. I should have looked at what sector the shield generator was in.
Oh, that is smart. What I would do
still
is
learning things.
Yeah. I would just wait for one of us to die, and if you die, then because your radar points at the other person, I would just point at you, because they start you kind of in the middle of the power-ups, at least on this level. Yeah. But yeah, this was a really, really fun experience, and I'm glad we got to have it with Terminal Velocity again.
And you can have, I think, like up to 8 players. Yeah. I'm also glad our first game, we crashed into each other and killed each other. So, like, the first game was just a tie. Yep.
It's all good.
All good. Then Matt took over. But yeah, like up to 8 players. That would be fun. That would be...
It would be so much fun. If only I knew 8 people.
I know.
But,
oh, well. Who want to play Terminal... That's the thing, like... 8
right,
people
who want to play Terminal Velocity.
Who want to play Terminal Velocity.
Yeah.
So, that's that level. We did a couple other levels, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead here.
Yeah. I mean, we always talk about, like, how would you fix this game? You know how the only thing I would do to this game is make it high res, fix the draw distance.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, high res the game, fix the draw distance. I would maybe like, when you say high res, I feel like part of that goes with adding some more things to the ground. Adding some more trees, making it look a little less weird, or just putting everything on rocky sort of things. You know what I mean? Like, there's no trees, there's no bushes, there's no buildings. it would be fun to fly this over a city.
Yeah,
Like
that would be
McWarrior
cool.
EDF style. Like, because
Yeah,
there were a couple times what was fun for me was bringing you down to the ground and making you chase me through
Right.
canyons.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a great time. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the funnest moments for me too. Or like go. I think there was one time where I was like hauling ass toward the shield generator, and you were chasing me, or the shield repairer,
Yeah.
and I was like inches away, and you killed me.
Yeah.
Like it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was frustrating, but it was a really fun experience.
But it's the right kind of frustrating. You're not frustrated
Right.
that the controls failed you or that I did some cheese maneuver or something that just like, that's not fair. No, you missed. You didn't quite get there in time. Shit happens, and you'll get me next time. It always
Yeah.
feels fair. Even when I was getting my ass kicked the whole time, I never stopped having a good time. I never didn't feel like, I can probably get him this next time. You're
Yeah.
beating me 2-1, but I'm always like, well, maybe this will be the time. Maybe this will, I'll get him with those ion things, or I'll change up and try the RTLs, or. And
Yeah.
here you see I've got the 4-shot.
Yeah. That thing is cool as hell. Yeah. Man, that ion cannon is a blast in multiplayer because you can just basically treat them like mines and just fill the sky with them and hope they hit them.
And sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'm like, I blasted everything I had, and you just right on through. And I'm like, how did you not hit any of them?
I know. Yeah. This game is great. The ships move really well, so you can do like Immelmans.
Mm-hmm.
You can employ your Red Baron style dogfighting tactics.
The speed control is such a huge, thing. And it doesn't have like wind velocity and stuff, but you still have to you're not going to stall out like a real plane, but you still have to manage your speed. Because if you're going too fast or too slow at the wrong time, which is how you were just owning me, I never got that speed dialed into where it should be.
Yeah.
Just was good. Maybe I was just choosing shitty ships. Do you think the ships have different stats? I don't think they do. But
If only there was a manual.
only there was a manual
we
that would
could
let us
learn.
know. Like maybe I was choosing the one that had the worst shields.
We're like, you can play this game without reading the manual, and then we obviously know nothing about it and have a ton of questions. But
Well, and this is part of why I think it's really important to establish this as a club. A reviewer would be expected to read the manual. I'm going to play it the way I think anybody else would sit down and play it, and I'm going to talk to you about that experience so that you can decide, yeah, that's how I should, or maybe I should actually like go in the thing and read the manual.
yeah,
You're still going to get a sense of whether you like the game or don't like the game or get some views out of it, but it's not the same as a technical, we're going to dissect this and talk about all its pieces clinically situation. We might
Yeah.
forget stuff. We might skip the manual because who cares?
yeah, didn't feel like we needed it, even though we obviously
Probably
desperately
did.
needed to read it.
Yeah. Might not mention that Mark Randall made Ghostbusters the video game, which was a very good Ghostbusters movie and video game.
That's not the one where you drive around in the car with the ghost vacuum on the top. That thing was a mess. I
I
remember
loved that
game.
back in the day, but yeah, it is a mess.
I loved it back in the day.
I
I played
loved it
the
on the
music. That was
Commodore
enough for me when I
especially.
was a kid.
Like, because the Commodore, you got a passcode so you could keep your bank account going every time you came back, and eventually you just always had all the best stuff. But, I don't know, felt good.
Yeah.
Felt good. And he also made Monster Truck Madness, which we both liked back in the day.
I did. I enjoyed Monster Truck Madness.
The engine is...
There's a lot of good games in this 3D realms.
I'm just looking here through, like, the engine is called Photex. And I'm like, well, let's find out what other games use that engine. Fury 3, Hellbender, Monster Truck Madness, Kart Precision Racing. I remember that one.
I had Kart Precision Racing, liked it.
Blair Witch Volume 1, Rust and Par. Would have lost a bet.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pass. What do you just lose your map and run around screaming for 2 hours? Is that video game?
I'm glad you brought that up. So I give you shit about 2001 all the time. Here's two you get to give me shit about. Blair Witch, I think, was a fantastic movie. And Cloverfield. And I know nobody else gives two craps about those, but I think they're both really well done for reasons no one else gives two craps about.
I can see it. Like I didn't. I think Cloverfield failed because I hated all the characters and they leaned way too heavily on just like the atmosphere and the first person. But I thought Blair Witch actually was pretty effective.
Yeah.
And it scared me in the theater because I saw it in the theater, and at the very end, someone screamed.
Oh, did
in
they?
the theater, and it was great, and it scared the shit out of me when the person screamed. That was a good experience. So, I get Blair Witch. I saw Cloverfield at midnight in the theater because I was so excited about it because of the marketing. The marketing was revolutionary at the time.
The things I liked about Cloverfield is, first off, when I watched Cloverfield, I watched 9/11 as I remember it. And that's what it was supposed to be. I think it nailed it. It very much had that vibe. You didn't know what was coming. It was just atmosphere for everyone involved. You had no idea what was attacking or why or how. And just the other thing I really like about it that no one sort of notices is the videotape is being split between what's happening, the monster attack, in this date he had with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It is the best day in his life and the worst day in his life, back to back. And it's this juxtaposition of just watching this guy have the greatest time he's ever had with this horrible... And it's a week apart. It's only like a week apart between these two recordings. Maybe not even. And
that's a great observation.
A really good movie for that, but... No one cares. Where's my big monster stomping on people?
Yeah. No, that's a really interesting observation. Like I understood that there was old footage on the tape, but I didn't really piece together that it was the best and worst days of his life. That's great. What bothered me about Cloverfield 2 was there's like a scene where they're in the building and they're like jumping around and stuff, and that just took me out of the we're scared, we're running, we don't know what's going to happen. Like suddenly they're jumping through buildings. Like I don't have time for that. I got stuff to do.
Yes, I'm done. I'm out. All right. Let's talk about other things in this engine because there's some in here. I think it's got Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2, Aeon Flux, Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run.
What? There's another Spy Hunter game?
There's a bunch of Spy Hunter games.
Oh, put them on the list.
Okay.
I loved sitting in the Spy Hunter machine at Chuck E. Cheese, and I thought that it blew my mind that I figured out that you can just hold the machine guns down. I felt like I was like cheating and like I was a super genius for figuring it out. Like, no, you just suck at it. It doesn't really help you that much because you get sideswiped. Like, no, Matt. But no. It was good for me when I was a kid.
That's okay. It's such a good game for that. The others I don't know are as good, and that's part of why you don't know about them, which might mean they're perfect for this channel.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, Connect Star Wars, and Def Jam Rap Star. I'll use this engine. I love it. I love everything. I love all the words that came out of my mouth right there.
Yeah, The Walking Dead, that's surprisingly recent. A modern reference.
2013.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what went into the decision to make a game in 2013 on this. I mean, obviously the engine's been updated.
It's obviously the engine's been updated, but it is also the last game on this engine.
But like, there was Unreal Engine. There were so many options at that point.
I'm betting it was cheap.
If it not was
possibly
deal.
Free.
Huh.
But yeah.
That's interesting.
All right,
you ever notice we have these discussions like how would you fix this game, and we always start like, well, I would increase the graphics and like fix the controller. And then like 5 minutes later, we're like, and we should replace all the ships with vegetables. And like you're flying around in a vegetable world. We should just like stop those conversations before they get crazy. We did a good job this time.
Because every so often it creates a situation like we talked about Zorro. How would I fix the game Zorro? And we came up with a lot of ideas as to how I'd fix Zorro. And somebody said, you can't, it's too far gone. There's too much. And I'm like, nah. So I tried. There's too much. If you fix everything that needs to be fixed in Zorro, it's not Zorro.
Right. Once you started pulling apart the puzzles,
it was
like
over.
terminal velocity doesn't need to be fixed, but it could be like
Cleaned.
perfected.
Yeah. It could be updated.
But Zorro, I think that was a good lesson though for both of us. That sometimes you just can't.
You just can't. You make a new game then, and there's nothing wrong with making a new game. But yeah, some games just there's too much to fix and have it be the original, be just an update. Like if they had fixed some of these things in the beginning, could you finish it? Yeah, sure, but
yeah,
that's not the case. So, yeah, I don't know. Draw distance is 90% of what I'd fix in this, though. Like, the rest of it's fine. Like, I wouldn't even mind playing with these graphics if you just fix the draw distance.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need missiles that lock on.
Yeah, I don't need any new special abilities or effects. A better working radar, I guess.
Yeah.
And a draw distance past the tip of my plane would be all I really need.
Yep.
Do you remember the draw distance being this close, though?
No, because we played it in like 1995, and it probably felt pretty great in 1995. Because, like, again, like, not to rag on Descent, but Descent stuck you in a maze, so there was nothing to draw.
Well, and that's how they got out of it, yeah.
Yeah. But this, like, there's landscape, and it needs that stuff. And so
the ambition
they just compromised.
Yeah. Did you play with auto leveling on?
No, fuck that. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it's in these settings. So if you didn't turn it off, then you did.
Oh, I didn't auto level. Like I was definitely sideways and upside down a lot.
I might try turning it off just now that I'm a little better at steering, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did.
One of the things about auto leveling is like it will make you parallel to the ground, but if you're closer to being upside down, it will just make you parallel upside down to the ground.
Maybe I did have it on.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, we should try it next time we play this multiplayer, which we're totally going to do again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't make you want to throw up like when we played Duke Nukem.
That's true. Like, that's the other thing. Like, other games have given me serious motion sickness like Duke, but this, I never, and maybe, I don't know. I was going to say maybe it's because it's not really me moving when I'm seeing through the eyes, but it's still me moving, so I don't, and like, I had no problem. I just went from like wide vista to short thing to, kind of dodging through here, and this is me trying to get away from you. Like if I stay close to the ground and near the mountainside, he has a lot of trouble with this.
I do.
And then I try to slow down and spin around, and it sometimes works and sometimes does not.
Sometimes it does not. There I go, off into the sunset, or off to the shield restorer, more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comforts me that you hit the ground a lot, because I also hit the ground a lot. You come out of those clouds, and sometimes there's like a hill right there.
It's just like before you're on the ground.
Like, oh, okay, get some crashing. Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to say about this?
We've gushed about terminal velocity, I think, the right amount.
Yeah, I think any more, and it's just getting a little silly, and I don't have anything else I can rag on about it, so... All right. All right. Goodbye, beautiful. We will talk to you again sometime. Our long game we're playing still, and I'm finally feeling like I'm starting to get the hang of it, is Ascendancy.
Yes.
I would say if you're into games like Master of Orion 2, that sort of game, check this out before we talk about it next week. If you're not, then you're probably not going to be into this game.
Yeah. Good summary.
Yeah. We'll talk about ways it's different and things like that, but not a big deal. Our short game.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what we're playing. This would be a surprise.
It's not the one I told you about yesterday, though.
Oh,
I know. I was going to, but then I remembered why I picked this game. With COVID, the Summer Olympics is canceled, so we're going to do Summer Games from Epyx on the Commodore 64.
fantastic. Look at that cover art.
I love 80s Epyx cover
Oh
art.
my god.
It's so... I don't even know. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so watch our low rent summer games on the Commodore.
And if you're following us on Discord or Reddit or something like that, and you get a good score at something, post it with a screenshot. Let's see who gets the gold in the Lost Sectors Summer Games this year.
And the country you want to represent.
Yeah, and the country you want to represent. I'm gonna pick a weird one. I think I'm gonna find something weird.
I think in the spirit of the exercise, I'm going to be the USSR.
Oh. I might have to go U.S. just to make it a good... I don't want to, though.
Right. Like, I'll be Dolph Lundgren, you be Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
I'm a lot like Dolph Lundgren, actually.
Are you?
Yeah, lots of ways.
Yet no one remembers you?
Come on, man. That He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren, do you remember that fucking thing? With that little, like, ugly-ass dwarf thing? You know,
yeah, I remember it. I do.
Oh, God. They eat the ribs, and they're like, do you remember? Oh, man.
That was such a bad movie. That was such a bad interpretation.
It was atrocious. I'm going to go watch it immediately after this.
Oh, my God. Okay.
I can't believe you said that about Dolph Lundgren.
I know. He was in the Expendables and everything. And
yeah, you're a bastard.
I'm sure something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be our next short game. You know, post your scores. Tell us how you're doing. As usual, Thursday, Deathlord. We're going in the pyramid for the final word.
Yep.
It will be the last word on Deathlord. And then,
the final word on Deathlord.
Final word on Deathlord. And then we'll play more because we still got to go to hell and finish the Deathlord himself.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what, episode 22?
22, 23? 22,
something like that. We never know.
We never know. That puts us at about 60 hours of playing this game, which definitely is rushed because, like, the boxes and the advertisements all said it'll take you about 80 to beat the game. Like, you have at least 80 hours of gameplay to finish the game. So we'll be coming in close to that.
Yeah, which is incredible. Like, what is also incredible is that there's people who join the stream every week and have been through pretty much all 80 hours with us, and we love that. That's like the best thing.
I love that there are people joining the stream recently who are like, yeah, I was starting to play Deathlord and I wanted to see if anybody else had, and you guys are the only ones.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
We play Deathlord so you don't have to.
Yes.
No, it's a wonderful game. It's just mean.
Yeah. It is. It's rough, but once you kind of bust out of the starting area and get it and just see it for all its glory, it's such an interesting game.
Yep.
All right. Anything else to say about this week or this anything or this whatever?
I got nothing.
Terminal velocity is awesome. I'll get you next time.
Yep. Play terminal velocity with a friend.
Yes.
That's our advice. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.